Since the dark ages of when my external hard drive had corrupted, or as I thought so, I reflected a lot on my current video editing system. First off, it has no way of backing up media, and secondly, the laptop I'm using for video editing just isn't built for it. I've been thinking of buying another laptop for the job, but soon found out it would be much better to build a dedicated PC. The problem with the HD was the final push that led me on building another PC. And for that, we'll have to go back in time. Deciding on the correct parts for my PC was the easiest part, as it had different builds for different demands on a website called Logical Increments. I was originally saving up for the professional editing build, but after doing some research I found out I would be broke before I can get half the components I needed, so I had to go to the next build down, which just fitted in my budget. I then did a detailed cost sheet on Excel including the URLs of where I found the component on the internet, and I guess taking those electronic classes during high school really helped in this case. I really tried hard to only have Australian dealers as the shipping is much cheaper. However, for the motherboard I couldn't find the same one on the website in Australia, so I had to go with an international seller. Luckily it was still cheaper even after including the shipping. The stuff that I bought from Australian dealers arrived in about 3 days time, which is really nice. The motherboard and the CPU fan I got from the international dealers arrived much later, almost 3 weeks later, even though it said it would arrive in 5 to 7 days. Hold on, wait a minute. What is this? I forgot that I ordered a monitor. So now I have 2 monitors. Oh my god. While I got the rest of the components, I still couldn't resist the temptation to open every single one of them and see what's inside. Coincidentally, it was Christmas as well, so really suits the theme. I must say, the case looks much bigger than what I saw in the pictures, which is precisely opposite with advertisements you see on fast food stores. It is also much heavier than I anticipated it would be. It was pretty interesting to get a look of the inside of the case, as I have never taken apart a PC. It's been 3 weeks since these have been posted to me, and finally the last piece of the puzzle, the motherboard, is finally here. So now let's take them down from my bunk bed and get them outside. I brought them to the coffee table in the living room. It's not ideal as there's a carpet underneath it which could cause static electricity, but fortunately the coffee table is made out of metal, so as long as I keep contact with it I should be fine. 6 essential tips for first time PC builders. I really don't have any experience building a PC, so according to the tutorial we probably should assemble it outside of the case first. And let's see how we go with this. Okay, so I think the CPU goes here. After a bit of figuring out, I finally found a way to open the CPU holder thing. Then I had trouble clamping the clip down with the CPU in it because it felt uncomfortably tight, and the clip was actually digging into the CPU. After some hesitation and checking whether or not the CPU was in the right orientation, I pulled down real hard and clamped it down. Oh yeah, I probably should check whether the motherboard actually fits in the PC case. Yeah. It's gonna fit. And now I can install the RAM. At first it was too wide and didn't fit into the slot, and I was very scared at that moment. As it turned out, there's a clip at the end of the slot that I have to pull open for the RAM to fit in. Then I can put the second one on with the same method, which went smoothly. Next I can put the GPU in, which also has a clipping system as a RAM. Okay, screw it. Let's just put the motherboard and all the stuff inside the case because I just don't feel safe having this wobbling so much. Really should lay this flat, shouldn't I? Yep. Genius. Once the motherboard was in, I can pull the cover off and fit the power supply in, which I nearly put it in the wrong way. But let's see about the graphics card. Let's see what we can do about that one. I mean, looks like it goes like that. Ah, right, so that hooks onto there. Then I put the plastic cover over the ports for the motherboard. Connect the 24-pin ADX cable to the PSU and the motherboard. Right. Well, at least this is obvious. And yeah, I'll have to screw this down. I didn't know what the 24-pin ADX cable looked like, so I searched for its pictures and found out it was actually the cable that was already attached to the power supply. To be there. As fast as I attached the cable, I removed it again to snake it from the back of the case to help with cable management. Connect the 6 plus 2 pin PCI cable to a graphics card. Okay. So the closest one I found is this 6 plus 2 pin, and I guess I'll just have to leave the 2 pins out because my GPU only has 6 pins. So hopefully that won't cause any shorts by just leaving this one out. Once again, I am removing it to snake it from the back. So apparently the hard drive goes in like this. And then it goes in at the back, like that. The power supply for the hard drive seems to be here. And with the cord running through the back. And now I can connect the SATA cable to the HDD as well. Then I could put the solid state drive in. Then I can put the SATA and power cable on just like the HDD. I also plugged in a system case fan, but at that time I accidentally put it in the wrong socket. The last component to go on was the CPU fan, which had this bracket that goes behind the back of the motherboard. Then I can put the rubber feet on and a metal front bracket to hold the heatsink. Once I got both brackets down, I could put a little bit of thermal paste that came with the CPU fan. The instruction says a pea-sized drop of thermal paste, and that is exactly what I did. I was really nervous when putting the heatsink on because this entire thermal paste operation felt like a glue up. Next I can fit the fan in place, which had metal hooks hooking it onto the heatsink. So this wire that actually connects to the fans on the case is actually supposed to go to the sys fan over here, and this is the one that's supposed to go to the CPU fan. Well, now all that's left to do is connect the rest of the cables, like this one. That's supposed to be to the fan. This connects to the USB ports at the front panel of the case. These are for the buttons and LEDs on the case. I had trouble finding the one that connects to the HD LED pin because on the wire it says HDD LED, and I thought that they were different, but apparently they are actually the same. And I can connect the audio cable for the audio jack at the front panel to work, then a USB 2.0 cable which is also for the front panel, and finally cable management, which was actually pretty simple because the case has zip ties built in and numerous holes for cables to come through. Once that was done, I can put the cover back over the power supply. At this stage the PC is pretty much complete, or as complete as I think it is. So I guess what is left to do now is to plug in the power and see whether anything breaks. Here literally goes nothing. Just do it. Oh shit. Oh yes, it lights up. And yes, the motherboard lit up. Look at that. Yeah, the button doesn't really show up that good on the camera, but it lights up, so that's good. That means I didn't fry the motherboard, or at least not yet. And I guess I have to press the button. Yeah, let's do it. Oh yes, it worked. Oh shit. And then it stopped. And goes again. Not sure why. Maybe it's just the way it controls it, but oh well. We'll see. Okay, I've got the screen set up. Not sure what's supposed to happen. Oh yes, probably should get the mouse. After a lot more messing around, I finally got it to have more lights on. Isn't that great? Yeah, I apparently forgot to connect the CPU power connector right there, that one. Apparently there's two that needs to go from the power supply to the motherboard. One is up top and one is at the bottom over here. Finally I got this to work. I got it to work by actually pulling out one of the RAM and then inserted it into a different slot. I think it's slot 3 instead of slot 4. So I'm gonna try with the second RAM and see is it because the RAM is like dead. Yes! Finally worked. So I messed with the BIOS a little bit before installing the operating system. The problems were I didn't plug in the CPU power cable, I didn't get the RAM to be fully seated, and I also didn't get the graphics card to be fully seated. They do need quite a bit of force to get them seated properly. Once I got the operating system on it, everything was almost smooth sailing. But since the Wi-Fi module for the PC still hasn't arrived yet and my Wi-Fi quota for that month has exceeded, I couldn't go on the internet to update the drivers or download anything. Once everything was working, I put the panels back on the case for its own protection. It's been almost a week since I've got my Wi-Fi back and I've moved it into my room for now. It still can't receive any Wi-Fi signal because it doesn't have the module yet, and it is currently showing the internet with my laptop which has Wi-Fi. I am going to be building some kind of mobile stand for it in the future, but that will be a project for next time. I've already been using it for video editing, and although it is not the best PC, it is most definitely a good improvement over my old one. I'm now even able to preview sped up videos with Lumetri color grading on top of it, which would have been impossible to do without rendering on my old one. Just one thing that I found that it starts to lag and skip frames is when I do the cloning effect, like right here. I am going to be upgrading the CPU to the more powerful i7-6800K sometime in the future, as it has more cores, which is better for video editing, but that won't be happening until I get my budget to heal, as it is in pretty bad shape. Hey, another reason to support me on Patreon. There's still a few minor problems I haven't been able to resolve yet, and one is that the rear audio jack doesn't seem to work, as it just has no sound, and I've been getting past it by using the one on the front panel. The other problem is I can't seem to change the color of the LED on the motherboard, which always stays this orange-yellow color. Although this doesn't really affect its functionality, but it really sucks. I am getting a couple more hard drives when Dad comes back at the end of January, and I'm going to be using those for backing up, and a few more for like media cache and stuff. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and leave your thoughts in the comments below.